Good afternoon. Today is the 5th of April and I want to talk about another ITC series as I know all of you love it so much. We're going to talk about the champions of law, order and justice, operators of the International Agency of Nemesis. So that was my awful impression of actor David Bauer, who used to do the introduction to the champions in all the 30 episodes. He actually appears in The Experiment, which is one of the best episodes of the champions if you want to see what he looks like. He was a Canadian actor, very familiar to audiences in British film in the 60s and was an absolute ITC regular. But anyway, The Champions was filmed from February 1967 to February 1968. It was made by ITC, produced by Monty Berman. Most of the things I seem to talk about are with script supervision by Dennis Spooner, another very familiar ITC regular. Some of the episodes are written by Tremayne, who I think I've talked about before. And it was filmed at Elstree Studios, as a lot of these things are. And it's really good. It's probably one of my top 5 series of all time. And I've got the theme tune going on in my head, but I'm not going to see it because then I'll get a copyright strike. So the basic premise of The Champions is that there are these 3 agents who are on a mission somewhere in communist China, I think. And they steal some kind of bug sample from the Chinese government. I don't really know. But they complete their mission and get away in a plane and then crash in the mountains of Tibet, where they meet the people of a lost civilization who mend their bodies and give them extraordinary powers. Now, these powers are never fully explained, but they include being able to run really fast, being able to hold your breath underwater for a long time, see in the dark. They're never really fully explained because the people who mend their bodies don't actually tell them what they are. And obviously it's a convenient plot device for the writers to be able to do whatever the heck they want, which is essentially what happens. The 3 agents are Craig Stirling, Sharon MacReady and Richard Barrett, played by Stuart Damon, Alexandra Bastedo and William Gaunt. Their boss is Commander Tremayne, who is played by Anthony Nicholls, and who wears a really stupid beard and a wig. I don't know why. He didn't need to do that, but he does. Ask Monty Berman. Actually, you can't because he's dead. But so don't ask him. But he's really, really good. The Champions is actually based in Geneva, although the only thing that's Swiss about that is the fact that they use some holiday footage that Monty Berman took when he went to Geneva. So you see the fountain, and the headquarters actually isn't a building in Geneva. It's a council office in Whetstone. I've actually been there. And you see it very often in the series, parked with a grey Volkswagen Beetle parked in front of it, G70701, which is owned by Johnny Goodman, who was a very well-known production assistant on lots of ITC series. And they park the Beetle in front of the building and then just put a background plate of a Geneva fountain behind it. It's not actually that bad an effect, but my gosh, was Monty Berman cheap. So as I've said, the only foreign filming that I think took place apart from Monty Berman's holiday video was a little bit in a desert somewhere. I don't really know where that was, but apparently that was filmed the episode Desert Journey. So everything else is filmed in Buckinghamshire or Hertfordshire or bits of Surrey, things like that. Stock footage, sets, the standing set from 1961 Cliff Richard film, The Young Ones, which was right outside Elstree Studios, dressed up to look like anything from and Eastern Europe to South America, and just generally any way that they could, pot plants, any way that they had of just not going abroad and using stand-ins and doubles and things like that. And that's just the way these series were made, and in some ways it's sort of better for it. You change the plates on the car and just drop and flip the film the other way around, like in one episode, so you don't have to go to Geneva and film. It's very entertaining, but nevertheless it can be a little bit frustrating. So apart from amazing theme music by Tony Hatch, wonderful incidental music by Albert Elms, Robert Farnon and Edwin Astley, what does The Champions have to offer in terms of cars? Well, I've got a list here because there's a lot of cars to talk about with The Champions, and we'll have a look. So one of the cars you see very often in the background of the Saint, that was made at the same time as The Champions and had been running for years before that, is a 1960 Mercedes 220S, which is green. That's Craig Stirling's main car. He uses it in 3 episodes. Richard Barrett has quite a number of different cars. 2 of them are not that interesting, but the third one is very interesting. So he uses a 1965 Ford Cortina GT Mark I, that's LJH 830C. He uses also a 1966 Ford Zephyr 6, that would have been brand new at the time, a new model. And that's in 3 episodes with, I think, different plates on it. One of them's at least a press plate because it says PVW something E, which I would suggest is a Ford press plate. But most interestingly of all, he has a 1963 Alfa Romeo Giulia SS that was actually Monty Berman's own car. Now this was registered 3366F and appears in a couple of episodes of The Champions, but also in Gideon's Way, The Saint, the Baron and Department S. And Monty Berman was produced in all those series actually, so it's not surprising. It's a beautiful, beautiful car. I thoroughly recommend just admiring it if you can find a picture of one. So that's Richard. Sharon, the most common car that Sharon drove was an MGB. Now there were 2 different MGBs. I presume they were totally the same car. There was a 1962 car in one episode that was 1644 PJ, and then in The Night People, which is a classic episode of The Champions, there's a 64 model which is BWH921B. She also, in one episode, drove a Mini. Now, on the backlot studio set, it's a Morris Mini, but when there's some footage of her driving around, it's supposed to be Geneva, it's actually London at night, reversed, so it looks like the car's left-hand drive. It's an Austin Mini, so I don't know which one it's supposed to be, but anyway, those are the cars that Sharon drives most often. Apart from that, The Champions don't really use cars regularly for more than one episode, and there's loads of them. There's lots of Vauxhalls. There's a 1966 Vauxhall Viscount, that's JXE 316D. There's a 1967 Vauxhall Victor 101 Estate, which used in The Mission, which is DXB 376E. There's a 1966 Vauxhall VX 490, which is KXE 679D. All of these are Vauxhall press cars, by the way. There's probably the most common Vauxhall you see in The Champions is a Vauxhall Cresta PC. It's a white one, LXD 948E. That's used in at least 2 episodes, if not more, because there's a shot from Project Zero showing that car outside a government building, and that's get used in other episodes as well. Also, Mercedes provided some cars. I didn't know Mercedes had a press fleet in the 60s, but apparently they did. So you see a few Mercedes 250S's, such as the one which is in the Mission. No, sorry, not the Mission. Body Snatchers, sorry. That's RGP 125E. That's actually just driven by Bernard Lee, that particular car. There's a Jaguar Mark II that gets used, actually quite a few of those, because the Champions also incorporates the stock footage of the red Renault and the white Jaguar footage I talked about earlier, that's used in loads of ITC series and other series. So you see a Jaguar Mark II meet its end with somebody inside it. There's also a couple of other interesting cars that you see. Apart from that grey VW Beetle outside of Nemesis headquarters, you also see 1964 Carman Gear Type 34 1500, which is AFN 903B, and then really rare 1965 Volga M22 Estate GPK 110C. Now that was also used in Thunderball, that particular car, and I think probably that a crew member from Thunderball probably worked on the Champions as well. I can't remember which episode. It's one of the submarines. They had 3 episodes of the same submarine set in it, if you can believe that. But that's Monty Berman for you. So I hope you found that video interesting. The Champions is a great favourite of mine, which is probably why this episode's a bit longer than usual. But I hope you liked it anyway. Please don't forget to leave a comment below. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more of this kind of stuff and reviews and other things. Don't forget to like the video. If you wish to visit my website, that's www.lloydvehicleconsulting.co.uk. And if you wish to get in touch with me and ask me to source a car for you, I'd love to do that. Doesn't have to be anything I've mentioned in the video, of course. Use the contact me page on the website to do that. My Facebook page is facebook.com/Lloyd Vehicle Consulting. Thank you very much indeed for watching.